This is Money, Motivation, and Mike. I am your host, Michael Wainwright, and on the other end of the table is Jason Wright. And hello to you, world. This is the show that can and will change your life. Jason, we are just a couple of weeks away from the Ryder Cup, known as a big event outside of the majors. Now, and also in some other people's eyes, the biggest event, in my eyes, outside of the majors, the four majors in golf, the big event. And this event happens every other year. And basically, it is the United States versus Europe. It hasn't always been that. And we're going to discuss all that and try to do this in the next 10 minutes. Once again, my third or fourth attempt at a much shorter show. Nevertheless, okay, it's a biannual event of men's golf, like I told you, between Europe and the United States, and the hosting duties are alternated between the two teams. Like, for example, this year in 2025, the match will go on in Bethpage Black, and it is a public course. So after this event, I'm sure by now it's shut down, but after this event, you could go play Bethpage Black and see what you could do on that particular course. Whistling Straits was the last course in the United States back in 2021 to host the event. That's up in Wisconsin. So the initial contested Ryder Cup between Great Britain, this is going back, Great Britain only. So you're talking about England, Ireland, and Scotland. That's what made up, because that's where golf started. That's what made up the European team. And it was called the Great Britain team. It wasn't called the European team. England, Ireland, Scotland was called the Great Britain team, the UK. And they played the United States for many, many years. And going back to an English businessman named Samuel Ryder, aka where the name came from. And here's the reason it was still called the Ryder Cup, why it began to call the Ryder Cup almost 100 years ago. He donated the trophy. He didn't even come up with a game. So if you had been over there 100 years ago, we could have called it the Ryder Cup. If you had been there and given the trophy away.
Has a nice ring to it.
Yeah. He didn't have this trophy made, Jason. He just pulled this off of his mantle. Yeah. We'll do this. So, yes. The game has been jointly administered by the PGA of America and the Ryder Cup Europe. Then, in the latter days of the event, the PGA European Tour, the PGA of Great Britain and Ireland, there you go, which then turns into the PGAs of Europe, not the Europe Tour. People get confused with that. We have a PGA Tour, and we have a PGA of America, and then we have a United States Golf Association. They all govern golf. What you watch every week is the tour. But like the U.S. Amateur, it's put on by the United States Golf Association. The U.S. Open is put on by the United States Golf Association. All right?
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, correct. There you go. So, from this is why I think it's important. The Ryder Cup involves various match play competition between players. Now, in the United States, we have 12 players. Both teams have 12 players. In the United States, over the 2-year period, 6 players automatically are locked in based on their points. Then the captain gets to choose 6 players. Now, the Europeans, I think they do it a little differently. I think they do 8 and 4, but we do 6 and 6. But the match takes place on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and there's 28 matches. So that's 14 points. 28 points, 14 and 14. So that could be a tie. So if you are the winner of the previous Ryder Cup and we tie 14-14, you retain the cup. That's how that works. You'd think we'd have a 27 or a 29. We have 28.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in essence, you have to get more points than I do to take back the cup to your place. So Sunday's the big day in my opinion, because there's 12 players and there's 12 matches. It's 1-on-1. All right. Now, not all the players play on Friday and Saturday, because we have in essence on Friday morning there's 2 matches, and Friday afternoon there's matches. Now, and these matches don't consist of 12 players. They need 8 players. Then we have them over here on Saturday the same way. So you literally, and there have been players that have not competed on Friday and Saturday that then play only on Sunday. And then you have someone like a Tiger Woods who plays morning, afternoon, Friday, morning, afternoon, Saturday, and Sunday, plays in 5 matches. 5 matches is the most that you could compete in as one individual. Morning, afternoon, Friday, Saturday, and then your Sunday match. If you tie, so we tie during the match, it's a half point for you, half point for me. So that's how the points are accumulated. And as of Sunday night, they will have given out 28 points. And for you to retain the cup, you need 14. For you to win the cup, you need 14 and a half. If you don't own it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, from 1947 to 1977, that's back when it was Great Britain and Ireland. 30 years. They only managed 1 win and 1 tie. So it is becoming very lopsided because the popularity of golf had taken off in the early 20s, late teens, and golf was basically ruled by the United States of America, which then goes on to the fact that we have 3 organizations today. So Jack Nicklaus, of all people, and you know Jack Nicklaus was on all those teams there in the 60s and 70s that were dominating the Ryder Cup. He and Edward Stanley got together and decided that they had to do something or the Ryder Cup was going to fold due to the fact that Great Britain was not winning any of the matches. As a matter of fact, you knew who was going to win, which was the United States of America. How lopsided would it be by the end of Sunday night? That was really the only thing that was up for grabs, is how bad would the United States beat Great Britain. So in 77, led by Jack Nicklaus, the legendary Jack Nicklaus, they decided to include Europe. So now you get those Spaniards who can play golf. All of Europe, but I just narrowed it down to Spain. But nevertheless, there was, and the Germans, good golfers that have won multiple majors in the golfing world are now a part of the Ryder Cup team, and now it's called Team Europe. So that is how we got to where we are today. And I did not know this until I was doing my research, and I feel like I know a whole lot about this particular subject. The team size used to be 10 players, not 12. It was increased to 12 in 1969, and then of course, we in 1977, the Europeans were included. So, going all the way back to 1927. From 1927 to 2023, because, we have not played the 25 match. There is no 24 match. And before I get into that, there's one other thing here that I have to mention. Okay. As I've said, every other year, and it used to be on even numbers. We had the terrorist attack of 9/11 in 2001. All right. The war caused it to stop. It started on odd years, went to even years, then back to odd years, because in 2001 we delayed because of the attacks of 9/11. The only other interruption would have been the pandemic, because if you get off in 2001 to even numbers, then of course 2020 would be a year for the Ryder Cup. And then we canceled it in 2020 and moved it back to 2021. So now we're back on odd years. So that's why it's 21, 23, 25 right now.
Gotcha.
So unfortunately, something drastic will have to happen to get back to even years. And also, by the way, in the Ryder Cup, the 24 golfing professionals do not get paid, which has also been of controversy too, because mostly everything has always been about money, and now everything is about money, including gazillionaires wanting some more money. When is enough enough?
Never.
The old saying, how many ski boats can you ski behind? As many as I can buy, I guess. All right. Now, like I say, 1927. So you think about this. 1927, 2027, 100-year anniversary of the Ryder Cup. It'll be a big event. Unfortunately, it'll be held in Europe, not in the United States, because it rotates every other year. Since that time, there have been 44 matches. All right? That only covers 88 years. You got the war in here and different things that have delayed us and not having, as a matter of fact, from 1939 up to about 1946, they did not play the Ryder Cup, right in that category. And that was all because of World War II. Nevertheless, in those 88 matches, the U.S. has 27 wins, 15 losses, and 2 ties. The United States has won 61.36% of the time. All right? From 1927 to 1977. Remember, that's when Jack Nicklaus got involved. That was 50 years of golf, which is 22 matches. In those 22 matches, Great Britain and Ireland only won 3 times. And remember, from 47 to 77, they only won once. So in the first 20 years, they only won twice. And then they got 1 win and 1 tie over the next 30 years. So that is why Jack Nicklaus suggested we include Europe. And I'm not so certain. It's a good thing, but Europe has pretty well kind of dominated the United States in big fashion along the way. And they've been on a run. They won the last one. And there was a time period in there where of 20 years, they won 8 of 10, like in the 90s and 2000s. So they've been kicking on us. And here's your example. So the first 22 Ryder Cups was Great Britain and Ireland. The next 22 Ryder Cups was called the Europe team. So from 1979 to 2023, of those 22 matches, they've won 12 of them. Won 12, 9 losses, and 1 tie. So in the 98 years and 88 matches, we've had 2 ties. We've had 88 matches. The U.S. has won 27. Great Britain, Ireland's won 3, and Europe has won 12. So in essence, Team Europe has won 15 to our 27. That means they've lost 27 and won 15. And then we have 2 ties. So that is the breakdown on where we are right now with the Ryder Cup coming up here in late September 2025 up in New York. And you know how passionate the New York fans are, Jason. It could get very dicey up there because the Ryder Cup, you got to think about it. When you go to a golf tournament, there's 150 golfers. Then 70 golfers make the cut for Saturday and Sunday. When you get to the Ryder Cup, there's only 2 golfers, USA golfer and Europe golfer. So it is a real game. And you're for him and you're not for him. And that's where the ugliness comes out in the fans. You typically don't go to a golf match, to a golf tournament, and hear boos. The boos will ring loud with the Europeans. And there's not a more passionate set of fans than New York fans. And I know that fans come from all over the world to watch this event, but the majority of your fans are going to be from New York. God bless and be with the Europeans. So, Ryder Cup, 3 weeks away. And once again, for Jason and myself and everyone who's been a part of this show, continue to live your life the right way.